Hey guys, this is the Learning Target 4 revision video for the Thinking with Mathematical Models Test 2. And this learning target was all about correlation coefficients and outliers. So first you had a question that looked like this. I had a bunch of graphs, scatter plots, and I needed to match the correlation coefficients with the correct graph. So first of all, a correlation coefficient is not the same thing as slope. It is a number that represents how strongly correlated our data is, or in other words, how close to a perfectly straight line of best fit my points are. So there are two things I want to consider. First of all, are my points going up from left to right or down from left to right? If my points are going up, then my correlation coefficient would be a positive number. If my points are going down, then my correlation coefficient would be a negative number. So this just shows whether my correlation or the relationship between my points is positive or negative. So for graph A, I'm just going to kind of eyeball a line of best fit here. I see that it's obvious that my points are going up, so I'm going to pick a positive number. And they're actually pretty scattered away from my line of best fit. So this isn't a very strong relationship. So I'm going to say the correlation coefficient is 0.5. The stronger my relationship is, the closer it would be to either 1 or -1 if it's a negative correlation. And the more scattered my points are, the closer it is to 0. So for graph B, I see that my data is moving downwards. So that tells me I'm going to pick a negative number. And those points are really close to my line of best fit. But they're not perfectly on my line of best fit. So I'm going to say my correlation coefficient is -0.8. For graph C, my points are going up. And they're going up in a pretty dang perfect line with my line of best fit. So since they're going up, it's positive, and they're pretty near perfect, so I'm going to say the correlation coefficient is a +1. Graph D, my points are going down, so I'll pick a negative number, and they're pretty scattered, so it's not a strong relationship. So -0.5. Graph E, I don't see really any clear relationship that's happening. So that tells me that those points are not related in any particular way. So when that happens, I can't draw a line of best fit, and my correlation coefficient is 0, meaning the points are not related. For graph F, I see my points are going up, and they're pretty close to my line of best fit, but not perfect. So the correlation coefficient is 0.8. The next question that you had a different scatter plot, and the first thing it asked you was to estimate the correlation coefficient. This is the exact same question as this one with all of the graphs. The only difference is I didn't have you matching the number to the graph. You need to select your own. It's totally perfectly fine for you to pick one of these numbers that I had already listed in the previous problem. That's actually really what I was expecting. So when I look at this, I do see a line of best fit. I'm going to ignore my outliers because they are something that are outside of the trend of what's happening in my data. So that means I'm going to focus all of my attention on this region that's following the line of best fit. So it looks to me like it's obvious that the points are going up, but they're really scattered. So my correlation coefficient would probably be, I'd say, about 0.5. That tells me my points are going up, but they aren't very strongly related. The next question asks you to just explain the correlation coefficient. So like I just said, it's positive because my points are going up, but they're pretty scattered, so it's not a very strong relationship. Also, for part C, I asked you to list the coordinates of an outlier in this graph. I'm really just looking for the ordered pair, coordinates mean ordered pair, of one point that is totally far away from our line of best fit, and that's an outlier. So an ordered pair always has the x value first and the y value second. So I'm going to pick a really obvious one. That's this point up here. That point has an x value of, it looks like it's halfway between 0 and 0.5. So my x value is 0.25 and a y value of 120 because that's where my y value is. And the reason that this point is an outlier is that it doesn't follow the trend of what the rest of our data is doing at all because it's so far away from our line of best fit. So hopefully this helped you make revisions on your tests and make better sense of this learning target. As soon as you finish revising your test, let me know and you can start your retake.